Very good morning, students. The previous class we have started reproduction in plants. There we have discussed which is the reproductive part of the plant, that is flower, and the parts of flower, structure of a flower, types of the flower. There are two types, unisexual flower and bisexual flower, and examples. What is pollination? There are two types of pollination are there, self-pollination and cross-pollination. Advantages of self-pollination and cross-pollination and disadvantages of self and cross-pollination. These things we have discussed. Okay, now we are going to see how fertilization occurs, how fruits and seeds form. How fertilization occurs, how fruits and seeds form, we are going to see. I want to remember pollination. I want to remember you pollination. What is meant by pollination? Transfer of pollen grains from anther to stigma. Transfer of pollen grain from anther to stigma. After transfer of pollen grain, what happened? What are the things will happen? What are the process will occur in the plants? That means in the flower we are going to see. Before that, we should remember what is fertilization. Fertilization. The fertilization means the fusion of male and female gametes. Fusion of male and female gametes, that is called the fertilization. Now, after a pollination, the pollination means what? A transfer of pollen grain from anther to stigma. So what will happen? We see in the diagram. This is pollen grain. The outer surface of pollen grains very rough and tough, that is very rough and tough structure, so that it is easily attached on the stigma. This is stigma, pollen grain, pollen tube, then nucleus. Each male and female gamete have nucleus. This is female germ cell. These two called as polar nuclei. This is a female germ cell here. This two called as a polar nuclei. This is ovary. Ovary. Inside the ovary, this is a ovule. The female germ cell is there, no, that is ovule. So now we see what will happen after pollination. Now, the pollen grain is there. It is transferred from anther to stigma. So from one one to another flower of the same flower. After transfer of pollen grain to stigma, what will happen? Now the stigma having the sticky nature. It's sticky nature. So the pollen grain easily attached on the stigma. The pollen grain easily attached on the stigma. So generally the pollen grains having two nucleus. The pollen grains having two nucleus. So after reaching to the stigma, the pollen grains start to grow. The pollen grains start to grow and forms like a tube. So this is calling as a pollen tube. After reach the pollen grains to the stigma, the pollen grains start to grow. The pollen grains start to grow. It forms like a tube. This is called pollen tube. Through the pollen tube, the nucleus moving. Where? To the female germ cell. Again, through the pollen tube, the male nucleus started to move to the female germ cell. Now, this nucleus will fuse with the female germ cell. So, fusion of male and female gametes called fertilization. Here, the fertilization occurs the first time. Okay, after fertilization, what will happen? Zygote will form. What is zygote? Fertilized egg. Fertilized egg, call it as a zygote. After zygote, what will happen? Embryo will form. The embryo only contains the future plant. So embryo will form. From the embryo only, the seeds will form. From the embryo only, the seeds will form. Okay, so this is one process. Again, the pollen grain after reach to the stigma, the pollen grain start to grow. So it forms a tube-like structure. This is called the pollen tube. Through the pollen tube, the pollen nucleus start to move and reach to the female germ cell. Female germ cell, that is egg cell. And fertilization occurs. Here fertilization occurs. After fertilization, zygote will form. What is zygote? The fertilized egg is called the zygote. Fertilized egg is called the zygote. Embryo will form. The embryo is the future plant. Okay, so out of two nucleus, one nucleus fused with the female germ cell. Another one nucleus is there. Another nucleus is there. The another nucleus fused with the polar nuclei. So totally two nucleus are there in the pollen grain. One fused with the female germ cell and forms zygote embryo. Okay, and embryo grows into the future plant. Another nucleus there. The another one nucleus fused with the polar nuclei. Another nucleus fused with the polar nuclei. Okay, here already two nucleus are there. So again added one more nucleus. So how many nucleus are there? 1, 2, 3. So totally 3 nucleus are there. So this is called triple fusion. Triple fusion. This fertilization, the triple fusion, occurs in the same plant of the ovary. This is called double fertilization. Again, there are two nucleus in the pollen grains. One nucleus fused with the female germ cell, forms zygote. From zygote embryo form and develop into a future plant. Another one nucleus fused with the polar nuclei. This is polar nuclei. Already there are two nucleus are there in the polar nucleus. So one more nucleus will add. So totally how many nucleus are there? 1, 2, 3. 3 nucleus are there. So the process is called as a triple fusion. Triple fusion. So here second time fertilization occurs. This is fertilization 1. Here fertilization 2. So and the triple fusion, they togetherly generally call it as a double fertilization. Double fertilization. It's not in the book. Double fertilization not in the book, but sometime question will arise. Question will arise. The double fertilization means the pollen grains contain two nucleus. One nucleus fused with the female germ cell and form zygote. From the zygote, embryo form and develop into a future plant. Another one nucleus fused with the polar nuclei. So three nucleus are there. The process called triple fusion. So the fertilization one and the triple fusion are called as a double fertilization. Double fertilization. This double fertilization common in angiospermic plant. The double fertilization common in angiospermic plant. Here, the zygote develops into embryo. No? Here, what will happen? This triple fusion is there. No? These are developed into the endosperm. Very important one. What is endosperm or different endosperm? The male nucleus fused with the female germ cell forms zygote. Another one male nucleus fused with the polar nuclei and form endosperm. Now you should know what is endosperm. Endosperm is a nutritive tissue. Endosperm is a nutritive tissue. When the embryo grows, need energy, need food, that is provided by the endosperm. So two nucleus are there. One nucleus fused to the female germ cell and form embryo, zygote and embryo. Another nucleus fused to the polar nuclei and form endosperm is a nutritive tissue. It is a nutritive tissue which gives a nutrition to the growing embryo. Okay, so like that, after pollination, the process will occur. Again, now we discussed about the fertilization. The fusion of male and female gametes called fertilization. So after pollination, only fertilization occurs. After pollination, what are the process occurs? Generally, in pollen, there are two nucleus are there. The one nucleus travels through the pollen tube and reaches to the germ cell and develops into zygote and embryo. Another nucleus fused with the polar nuclei forms a triple fusion. This two type of fertilization called a double fertilization. It is common in angiosperm. So these things happen after transfer of pollen grain to the stigma. Okay, so like this fertilization happens. Another one process there. After fertilization occurs, another one process there. Post fertilization changes. It's very important. 3-mark question. Post fertilization changes. Post fertilization changes. So just remember, what are the parts of flower? Sepal, petal, stamens, ovary. The ovary contains ovule. Now, after the fertilization, what are the changes occur in these parts? The sepal and petals. You know already it is a non-reproductive parts of the flower. These petals and sepals are become shrivel. Shrivel means what? A shrink. And fall off. Shrivel and fall off. Shrivel means what? A shrinkage. And fall off means what? breaks down, killer விழுந்துரும். Even the stamens also fall off. Okay, now what will happen in the ovary? What will happen in the ovary? Ovary develops into a fruit. This is a very important one. And ovule is there. Ovule develops into seeds. Is very important. The post-fertilization changes mean after fertilization, what will happen in the flower? The sepal and petals shrivel and fall off, கீழே விழுந்துரும். And stamens also. And ovary develops into a fruit. Ovule develops into a seeds. The seeds contains a coat, that is seed coat. So the ovule develops into a coat and seeds. Sometimes in some plants the calyx and corolla. Sometimes in some plants the calyx and corolla may be remains. That is called persistent calyx. So after the fertilization, the post-fertilization, the calyx and corolla shrivel and fall off. Ovary develops into fruit. Ovule develops into the seeds. This is common. Sometimes some plants there is a calyx or remains. That is called persistent calyx. The first example is tomato. You see this tomato, you can identify this is a calyx or remains. This is a persistent calyx. And second one is brinjal. The second one is brinjal. If you observe the brinjal, what is there? The calyx are remains. This is persistent calyx. And pomegranate. Like this. And guava. So these are the fruits having the calyx remains. Okay, that is called persistent calyx. Actually this is not in the book, but question will come. What is persistent calyx? Now, structure of seeds. This is cotyledon. The cotyledon stores food. This is plumule. This is radicle. The plumule is called future shoot. That is stem. The radicle is called future root. Okay, this is the structure of the seeds. Cotyledon stores the food. So when the radicle and plumules are start to develop, need energy. So that is obtained from the cotyledon. This is a general structure of the seeds. is the structure of the seeds. Next, advantages of seed formation. Advantages of seed formation. Advantages of seed formation. The first advantage is the seed contains future plants. The seed only develops into a plant, no? So that the seed contains future plants. And it helps the seed helps the formation of new plants. The formation of new plants. The seed helps to formation of new plants. And the seeds are dispersed by wind, water and animals. Wind, water and animals. So these are carry the seeds from one to another place and help for the seed dispersal. Where the seed soil falls, when the favorable condition comes, it start to another one plant and prevent from or avoiding the extinction of the plants. What is the extinction? ஒரு plants இல்லாமையே போற earthல இல்லாமையே போறது, that is called extinction. அழிஞ்சு போயிடுறது. But these wind, water and animals are not allowed to extinction. So it carries different types of seeds and helps to the formation of new plants. So these are the advantages. These are the advantages of the seed formation. Okay, finally pollination occurs, fertilization occurs, zygote form and finally embryo form. The embryo develops into a new plant, that is called growth is called as germination. That is called germination. So up to this, reproduction in plants over. Reproduction in plants over. Next, reproduction in human beings. Reproduction in human beings. So, in humans, the sexual reproduction only occurs. In humans, only the sexual reproduction occurs. How it occurs? The human body is amazing structure. Different parts are there, different organs are there. Okay, lungs, heart, kidney, liver, like the different organs are there. So whenever we grow, our teeth grows. When we mature, the teeth fall off. That is milk teeth, and wisdom teeth may grows. Okay, lot of changes occurs each and every stages. Okay, the changes is prepared for the reproduction. So what are the changes occurs in human being? There are different changes occurs. The first changes in boys. For boys and girls, different changes occurs. So the first we discuss changes in boys. So what are the changes occurs in the boys? The first change is growth of hairs in new parts of the body. Growth of hairs parts of the body. The changes after the first change is growth of hairs in new part of the body and genital area and also in genital areas. What is the genital area? The personal place called the genital area, for example, between the thighs, that is the genital area. There are the dark color hairs grows. Okay, in the genital areas. And also thinner hairs appears on the face, legs and on the body and arms. Okay, this is one of the changes. The third change is oily face. How oil secretes when a boy enter into the adolescence or in the teenage, our face having the sebaceous gland which secretes oil. Okay, so the oil starts to secrete. So what happened? The face becomes oily. Okay, and the next change is pimple may form. Pimples may form. Okay, and another one changes. The fifth changes is the voice begins to crack. Okay, in earlier days, a boy may speak up in like a small kid. The voice very soft. When he enters the teenage or adolescence, there are changes occurs in the voice. Okay, so these are the changes occurs in the voice. For girls also there are changes. In girls also there are changes. Now see what are the changes are. The first change increase of chest. The chest becomes increase. And second one is menstruation occurs. Okay, and below the waist becomes broader. So up to this, below the abdomen becomes broader. So these are the changes occurs in the girls. Okay, after this, the reproductive organs are started to grow, or becomes mature. That is called puberty. So this is very important. The last public exam, this question was asked. Puberty. So what is meant by puberty? The rate of general body growth. Slows down. The rate of general body growth slows down. The reproductive tissue begins to mature and reproductive tissue begins to mature during the adolescence. So this is called puberty. This question was asked in the last public exam. Okay, this is called puberty. Okay, now the reproductive tissues all becomes mature and able to produce male gamete and female gamete. Now fusion of male and female gametes occurs. That is called fertilization. The fertilization are classified two types. fertilization are classified two types. The first one is internal fertilization and second one is external fertilization. What is mean by internal? In means inside. X, that means outside. So what is internal fertilization? Fertilization occurs inside the body. That is called internal fertilization. Example, human being, humans. What is the external fertilization? Fertilization occurs outside the body. Outside the body. That is called external fertilization. Examples, fish and frog. So, differentiation between the internal and the external fertilization. Okay, for the reproduction, there are specialized organs. Are they both male and female? In male, there is a penis for transferring the male gametes. That means sperm. In the female, there is a ovary. It's a female reproductive organs which produce the egg. Now, male and female gametes are fused. Fertilization occurs. Zygote forms. The zygote undergoes various changes. Embryo forms, and after a lot of changes, after 9 months, after lot of changes, what happened? The newborn baby is developed. Like this, fertilization occurs in the human being. That is, reproduction occurs in the human being. Now we have discussed after pollination, what are the things happen in the plant, in the flower. We have discussed what is a double fertilization, what are post-fertilization changes, the structure of seeds, advantages of seeds formation, structure of seeds we have discussed, and we have started reproduction in the human being. The changes occurs in boys and girls during the age of adolescence, and fertilization and its types we have discussed so far. Okay, next class we'll discuss the structure of male and female reproductive organs and how it is happen, how this occurs. Okay, next class we discuss. Kindly read the textbook again and again and complete the worksheet without fail. Thank you.